Welcome back, everyone, to today's Explainer. I'm your resident lore researcher, and today we are cracking open the archives for a really deep dive. We're going to analyze the shifting allegiances, the wild physical transformations, and the ultimate destinies of three of the most iconic Mortal Kombat assassins out there. We're talking specifically about the Lin Kuei clan, and looking at how their backstories have radically shifted across the franchise's various timelines. It's honestly a completely fascinating journey, going all the way from the original Midway series right up to the brand new reality forged by Fire God Liu Kang. Let's get into it.
All right, so here is our game plan for today. We'll start by breaking down the Mortal Kombat multiverse, then we'll open up some individual character files on Bi-Han, Smoke, and Cyrax, and finally, we'll wrap up with the massive butterfly effect these timeline changes have caused.
Section 1. The Mortal Kombat Multiverse, A History of Resets.
Okay, so to truly understand what's happening with these warriors, we first have to establish the cosmic canvas they're operating on. You see, this franchise doesn't just tell one straight continuous story. It has fundamentally rewritten its own history to totally alter the fates of its characters. Basically, we are tracking three main variables here. First, we've got the original series era. Second, there's the 2011 reboot, where Thunder God Raiden desperately altered the timeline to stop a literal Armageddon. And finally, we have Mortal Kombat 1, which gives us a completely new era created by Fire God Liu Kang. These three distinct timelines are our foundation. They let us track exactly how the lore changes over time, and how destiny itself gets rewritten for villains, anti-heroes, and allies.
Moving right along to Section 2. Bi-Han, Shadow to Traitor.
So, Bi-Han is basically a foundational figure in our archives. He's the original Elder Sub-Zero. But it really makes you wonder, how does a legendary assassin end up as a creature of pure shadow and then ultimately a willing betrayer? Over the course of the franchise, we literally watch him transition from this tragic victim of a horrible fate into an active, fully willing villain making his own dark choices. How exactly does a timeline reset cause a shift like that? Well, if we build this out chronologically, it's pretty wild. In the original series, Bi-Han's story is taken completely out of his hands. He's killed by his rival Scorpion. After that, the sorcerer Quan Chi resurrects him as the undead wraith Noob Saibot. And that incredibly tragic fate, it actually carries right over into the 2011 reboot. But check out the massive shift when we jump to Fire God Liu Kang's MK1 timeline. Bi-Han is alive. He's serving as the Grand Master of the Lin Kuei, but this time, he actively chooses to betray his own adoptive brothers to team up with the villainous Shang Tsung. And it doesn't stop there. In the recent Chaos Reigns expansion, he gets captured by Titan Havok and is forcibly converted into Saibot. Honestly, this contrast perfectly illustrates exactly what we're analyzing today. Think about classic Bi-Han, an undead wraith, stripped of his humanity, totally forced into serving dark masters like Shinnok and Quan Chi. He was a victim. But in Liu Kang's timeline, his archetype completely flips on its head. He's acting with total free will. He isn't being shoved into darkness by death anymore. He's actively choosing it. He becomes the willing betrayer of his own clan.
All right, Section 3. Smoke, Escaping the Machine.
Next up is Tomasz Verbata, who we all know better as Smoke. Now, his history is basically defined by a constant, desperate attempt to evade this horrific mechanical fate. We really have to ask, was Smoke just completely destined to lose his humanity to the Cyber Initiative no matter what? Or could a new timeline actually break his tragic loop?
Tracking the events that trigger his fate shows a really fascinating progression. Back in Mortal Kombat 3, Smoke tries to run from the Lin Kuei, but he's captured, converted into a cyborg, and then literally forced to hunt his own ally, Kuai Liang. Then, boom, the timeline shifts in 2011. This time, Raiden actually steps in and saves Smoke from the machinery, but the universe demands a toll, right? Kuai Liang gets converted instead, and Smoke ends up being killed by Queen Sindel, turning into an undead revenant. It is such a heartbreaking near miss, but finally, in the MK1 era, after his family is killed for accidentally trespassing, he's taken in as an adoptive brother to Bi-Han and Kuai Liang. In this reality, he completely avoids the cyborg fate, siding with Kuai Liang to help found the Shirai Ryu clan.
The really crucial takeaway here is how Smoke's core character shifts from being this tragic victim of the machine into an empowered, completely autonomous ally. In the original era, even after Noob Saibot reprogrammed him to be a cyber demon, he was physically trapped in a metal shell. But in the new era, he doesn't even have supernatural abilities. He's a highly skilled human who uses practical magic. He transforms from a forced cyborg villain right into a loyal founder of a genuinely heroic clan.
Let's move to Section 4, Cyrax, Redefining Loyalty.
Now, if Smoke narrowly avoided the machine, Cyrax's story gives us what is probably the most dramatic reinvention of the Cyber Initiative in the entire archive. Her original story was entirely about enslavement and a complete loss of identity. It really makes you wonder how Fire God Liu Kang's divine universe-altering meddling would change this specific assassin's trajectory.
Just looking at the before and after here is kind of mind-blowing. Originally, Cyrax was a Motswana member of the Lin Kuei who was turned into an unwilling male cyborg assassin in MK3. And even in the 2011 reboot, where he was a human Tswana member actively fighting against the Cyber Initiative, he still got captured and forcibly converted off-screen anyway. But Liu Kang's timeline? Completely rewritten. Cyrax is now a Nigerian Lin Kuei clanswoman. She's an autonomous female warrior who uses a high-tech powered suit instead of being surgically mutilated into a robot. It's a huge difference.
If we map out her specific journey in this new timeline, it's a super clear narrative about discovering the truth and making a tough moral choice. First, she starts off serving loyally as Sector's apprentice, totally believing Bi-Han's lies. But then, step 2, she discovers just how corrupt her Grandmaster actually is. And step 3, because she has total free will this time around, she makes the choice to be an ally and defects to the Shirai Ryu. It's just a brilliant transformation from a tragic machine to a free-thinking hero.
Which brings us to Section 5, the butterfly effect.
So having analyzed the individual case files for Bi-Han, Smoke, and Cyrax, I dug into the archives to pull together some data to see the broader impact of these narrative shifts. I tracked exactly when these characters literally lost their humanity based on the franchise's release history. Bi-Han first showed up as a human way back in the original '92 tournament before becoming a Wraith in MK2. Smoke started out as a hidden human character in MK2 before his cyborg debut in MK3. And interestingly enough, Cyrax actually debuted as a cyborg first in MK3. His canonical first appearance as a human didn't even happen until the 2011 reboot. Seeing this laid out just proves how long these characters were defined by their lack of humanity before the newer timelines finally restored it.
Okay, I just had to throw this in here as a little reward for all you dedicated lore fans. Did you know the very name of the shadowy wraith, Noob Saibot, is literally baked into the real-world creators' names? Yep, Boone and Tobias spelled backwards. It's just a really fun reminder that this incredibly iconic piece of dark, tragic lore originally started out as nothing more than a clever little hidden Easter egg in Mortal Kombat 2.
So what does this all mean? Why does this matter for the lore? Well, the overarching theme across all these timeline resets is a massive shift from characters being helpless victims of fate to becoming active agents of free will. The horrifying Cyber Initiative goes from being this forced bodily curse into wearable, powered suits. Characters who used to be tragic villains or mindless machines like Cyrax and Smoke are finally given the agency to become loyal allies and even clan founders. And on the flip side, Bi-Han goes the complete opposite direction, turning from a tragic, mind-controlled wraith into a willing, active betrayer.
Ultimately, the archives show us that in a multiverse built entirely on conflict, the greatest power out there isn't magic or machinery, it's the power to choose your own path. I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on as we close out today's case files. If shifting timelines can rewrite history this profoundly, who else in the Mortal Kombat universe is just waiting for their destiny to be rewritten? Keep digging into the lore, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you in the next exploration.